Hello, my name is Silas Crawford, and if there is a coffee can, old toolbox, farm drawer, or rusted pile of wrenches somewhere in your garage, I want you to do one thing before any of it goes to scrap. Turn every wrench over and read the shaft. A common old wrench may be worth $5. Another that looks almost identical can be worth $5,500, or in the rarest documented cases, many thousands. The difference is usually not the rust and not simply the age. It is the maker, the patent, the head style, the exact model, the rarity, and the condition. Today, we are counting down 10 old wrenches that can still hide in garages, barns, farm sheds, inherited toolboxes, and estate sale boxes. And I'm going to show you exactly what separates ordinary workshop iron from the versions collectors actually chase. Before we start, tell me where you are watching from and whether you inherited any old tools from your father or grandfather. Iowa, Ohio, Texas, England, it does not matter. And stay with me to number 2, because that is where a familiar adjustable shape starts becoming far more interesting once a patent number and unusual mechanism enter the picture. Let me be straight with you first. Most rusty wrenches are just old wrenches. A famous name alone does not turn one into treasure. The valuable pieces are the exceptions, and knowing where to look is what keeps those exceptions from disappearing into a scrap bucket. Now, the first lesson is where to look. With old wrenches, the shaft and the sides are where the story usually lives. Run a finger along the metal. Use a flashlight from the side, so raised letters, embossed logos, stamped trademarks, city names, and patent dates throw shadows through the rust. Quick favor before we start reading the iron. If you like learning how to identify valuable old tools before somebody sells them for scrap, subscribe to the channel. Every week we break down makers, patents, odd designs, markings, and the little details that separate common workshop tools from pieces collectors chase, and the next rare one may already be sitting in your own garage. If surface rust is hiding the mark, clean only enough to reveal it. Do not grind, sand, or polish first. That faint stamp may be the whole reason the wrench matters. The second thing to hunt is a patent number. PT, patented, a full date or a number can be more important than the shape at first glance, because patented tools often belong to a specific model collectors can trace. The third clue is the maker's mark. A marked wrench generally has more collector interest than a comparable unmarked one. Even on otherwise similar tools, a maker can add perhaps 5 to 20%, while a rare maker combined with a right model can multiply the difference much further. But never stop at the name. The exact type matters. A monkey wrench has a straight, flat profile with a smooth, adjustable jaw. An adjustable or crescent wrench has the familiar movable jaw and crescent-style head. Implement, farm, or plow wrenches came with agricultural machinery and often carry the equipment maker's name. Buggy and carriage wrenches belong to an earlier transportation world. Socket and interchangeable wrenches reflect mechanical innovation. Alligator wrenches have a fixed V-shaped jaw that looks like an open mouth. A Stilson is the classic pipe wrench. Open end and box end wrenches are fixed forms most people recognize immediately. And remember, something modern eyes often get wrong. Crude can be good. Rough early casting, uneven forging, and hand-forged surfaces can indicate age and individual manufacture. A hand-forged wrench can interest collectors more than a later mass-stamped version. Look at size and profile too. Measure the wrench, study the jaw shape, check for hardwood handles because some Stanley tools use woods such as beech and rosewood. Detailed shaft engraving, foundry medallions, and unusual seals matter. Then test condition, readable marks, a working adjuster, light surface rust, and complete original parts help. Deep rust that has eaten away the stamp, bent or broken jaws, frozen mechanisms, welds, and replacement components hurt. Number 10 is the simplest rule in the entire video, the marked vintage wrench. If one wrench has a clear maker's logo or seal on the shaft and the other is completely anonymous, the marked one gets the second look. Most collectible vintage wrenches are not four-figure tools. Many interesting marked examples lie around $50 to $100, and the presence of a maker can add roughly 5 to 20% compared with an otherwise similar unmarked tool. This is not a promise that any logo equals money. It is the first filter. Look for the maker, then patent, then type, then condition. That order will save you from both throwing away something good and overpaying for something ordinary. Number 9 is the classic monkey wrench. Straight body, flat profile, smooth adjustable jaw, and an industrial look that decorators love almost as much as tool collectors do. These were made by many companies, so the shape by itself is not rare. Turn it over and search the shaft for a maker, patent, city, or model. Coes is one name worth knowing, and Bemis and Call, Billings and Spencer, Williams, and other old makers also deserve attention. Depending on maker, size, patent, and condition, monkey wrenches can range from tens of dollars into the low hundreds. Big sizes, unusual constructions, and patented variants generally do better. A plain monkey wrench with no mark is not automatically valuable just because it looks 19th century. The value comes from proving which one it is. Number 8 is Winchester. Yes, the Winchester name most people know from firearms also appeared on tools, and that crossover branding is exactly why collectors notice the mark. Look for Winchester stamped clearly into the shaft or body, then make sure the wrench itself matches documented Winchester tool production rather than assuming any later stamp is genuine. Clean examples often trade around the $100 level, with stronger condition and scarcer forms pushing higher. This is a perfect example of brand recognition adding collector demand beyond ordinary utility. If you found a rusty wrench stamped Winchester in a drawer beside ammunition boxes, would you have guessed the tool itself might be collectible? Tell me below. Number 7 is Craftsman, but only the special designs. Millions of ordinary Craftsman wrenches exist, so the name alone is not enough. What you want are unusual mechanisms and short-lived forms, such as distinctive ratcheting designs and the so-called speed spinner style. Look for the Craftsman mark, then identify exactly how the mechanism works and whether the model matches a known specialty tool. Special examples like speed spinner ratchets can reach around $200, while common Craftsman open-end or box-end wrenches may be worth very little. This is one of the most important looks the same but is not the same lessons in the video. A common Craftsman wrench is common. A mechanically unusual Craftsman variant is a different collecting proposition. Number 6 is Keen Cutter from Simmons Hardware Company. Look for Keen Cutter, the familiar KK branding, or related Simmons marks. Keen Cutter built a reputation around quality steel, and the brand has a dedicated following across old tools, knives, and hardware. Rare wrench models in good condition can reach around $300. Again, rarity is doing the heavy lifting. A common Keen Cutter tool does not magically become a $300 wrench. What pushes the price is the combination of recognizable branding, a desirable or scarce model, good steel, sharp markings, originality, and condition. Run your finger over the logo before you clean it. If the stamp is shallow and rust has already begun eating it, aggressive cleaning can erase the exact information you need. Number 5 is SK and SK Wayne. These are names associated with quality American hand tools, and collectors watch the markings because logo style, model size, and era all matter. Look for SK or SK Wayne on the shaft and record the full size or profile information nearby. Values can begin at entry-level money and move into the hundreds for uncommon models, complete sets, or scarce variations. The trap here is assuming every old SK wrench is rare because the company has a good reputation. Most are working tools first. The collectible premium comes from the right model, the right era, the right marking, and condition. If several matching pieces remain together as an original set, keep them together until you know what you have. Separating a group can destroy the very completeness a collector is willing to pay for. Before the higher dollar half, remember the method. Shaft first, patent second, type third, size and construction fourth, condition last. No single clue closes the case. Cross them together. Number 4 is Stanley, especially older Stanley rule and level company and patented models. Stanley is one of the most recognizable names in American tools, but it is also where people get overconfident. Common Stanley tools can be modest. The interesting wrenches are the early, patented, unusual, finely made versions. Look for Stanley rule and level company references, patent numbers or dates, detailed metalwork, and on certain models, hardwood components such as beech and rosewood. Rare early examples in strong condition can move from the hundreds to more than $1,000. That is the upper end, not a blanket price for anything stamped Stanley. Check the adjuster, jaw alignment, handle markings, and whether repairs or replacement parts are present. A beautiful name with a welded jaw is not the same object collectors want. Stanley also shows why crude construction and refined construction both need context. An early hand-finished or unusual patented tool may have character that a later mass-produced wrench lacks, while a finely made wooden handle or engraved shaft may identify a premium model. Do not polish away the evidence trying to make it look new. Surface rust can be forgiven. A patent number erased by a wire wheel cannot. And if the wood is still there, do not replace it just because it looks dark. First, determine whether the handle, wedge, fittings, and wear belong together. A surviving rosewood or beech component may be part of the tool's identity. This is also where comparing measurements matters, too. Stanley wrenches can share the same general silhouette while differing in jaw profile, shaft length, patent, or handle detail. Write those differences down before searching. But if you have ever found a Stanley tool that looked too strange to use, tell me below what it was, because the odd versions are exactly where research becomes worthwhile. Never assume familiar brand means familiar model. Catalogs often reveal variants nobody recognizes today. Number 3 is vintage Snap-on, especially older sets from roughly the 1930s through the 1950s. Look for the period-correct Snap-on logo stamped into the shaft, consistent sizes and finishes across the group, and if you were lucky, the original metal case. Snap-on built professional tools to survive hard use, so plenty of individual wrenches remain. What collectors often pay up for is the intact early set, matching tools, correct old logo, original box, and no obvious later replacements slipped in over the years. Complete sets in their original cases can bring significant sums at collector auctions, although the exact value depends heavily on age, contents, condition, and whether the group really belongs together. A single ordinary Snap-on wrench is not automatically rare. The set, the era, and the completeness may be what creates the premium. This is why you should photograph a matched group before scattering it across a workbench or selling pieces separately. Look at every stamp and compare the wear. If half the wrenches have one logo and the rest carry a much later mark, you may be looking at a working collection assembled over decades rather than an original set. That can still have value, but it is a different thing. Number 2 is the rare patented adjustable or crescent wrench. This is where the familiar shape can hide something much less familiar. Look for a crescent-style adjustable head, then search the shaft for patented, a date or a patent number, size matters, and unusually large wrenches often attract more attention. So do strange adjustment mechanisms, uncommon jaw arrangements, and designs that depart from the ordinary modern crescent wrench. Authentic patented adjustables can reach around $500, and especially rare models can go higher, but do not turn every old adjustable into a $500 tool in your head. A common adjustable with a familiar modern mechanism may still be ordinary. The collector value comes from the patent, plus the distinctive design, plus the maker, plus the size, plus the condition. This is the item I wanted you to stay for because it shows exactly why the patent number is so important. 2 wrenches can look almost identical from 6 feet away. One has no useful markings. The other carries a traceable patent tied to a short-lived design. That stamp number can completely change the research path. Run side light across the shaft. Check both sides. Work the adjuster gently. Do not force a frozen worm gear because breaking an original component can destroy the very value you are trying to uncover. Number 1 is the rare John Deere implement wrench, the category that proves a farm tool can cross into branded memorabilia and reach a completely different market. Implement, plow, and farm wrenches were supplied with agricultural machinery. They were made to adjust specific nuts, bolts, and fittings in the field. So many have unusual open shapes, thin profiles, multiple working ends, or cutouts that make little sense unless you know the machine they belong to. The first thing to look for is the equipment name. John Deere stamped into the wrench is the obvious example, but the exact shape and application matter just as much. Collectors of antique tools want them, and collectors of John Deere memorabilia want them too. That overlap is where competition can become intense. Most implement wrenches do not bring thousands. The category as a whole can run from around $20 for common examples, all the way to roughly $20,000 for the rarest branded variants. An exceptionally rare example has reached $15,000 because of rarity. That is exceptional, not the normal price of a rusty Deere wrench. The lesson is to identify the exact implement, mark, and shape before you sell. International Harvester, often marked IH, also deserves attention, as do Ford and Model T buggy or carriage wrenches. Those transportation and farm tool crossovers are the kind of thing people throw into mixed boxes because they do not resemble the polished wrenches hanging in a modern hardware aisle. And there are other names worth putting on your radar. Co's for monkey wrenches, Billings and Spencer, PNC associated with Pratt & Whitney, Bemis and Call, Bonnie Williams, and old alligator wrenches with that fixed V-shaped jaw. None of those names automatically means big money. They are reasons to stop, photograph, and research. Now let us close the here's how to spot them promise with a method you can use on every wrench in the garage. Step 1, pick up the wrench and remove only loose surface rust carefully enough to expose markings. Do not start with a grinder, powered wire wheel, aggressive sanding, or a bright polish. Step 2, read the shaft. Look for the maker's name, logo, embossed seal, trademark, foundry mark, city, or model designation. Step 3, hunt for patent information. PAT, patented, a patent date, or a patent number can narrow the wrench to a specific design and era. Step 4, identify the type. Is it a monkey wrench, adjustable or crescent, implement or farm wrench, buggy or carriage wrench, socket or interchangeable design, alligator wrench, Stilson pipe wrench, open end wrench, or box end wrench? Step 5, record size and physical details. Measure overall length, note the jaw profile, check how the adjustment works. Look for hardwood such as beech or rosewood, detailed engraving, medallions, seals, and evidence of crude early casting or hand forging. Step 6, cross the maker, patent, type, size, and condition together. That combination is far more useful than any single clue, and do not let roughness scare you. Early casting and forging can look crude by modern standards. Uneven surfaces, hammering evidence, and hand-finished details can add historical appeal when they are consistent with the tool. A hand-forged piece may be more interesting than a later mass-stamped copy. But rough alone is not proof of age. Modern reproductions and workshop-made copies exist. Some shops copied popular wrench designs with inferior materials, and decorative reproductions can age enough to fool a quick glance. Study whether the logo is crisp and correct, whether the patent information makes sense for the design, whether the metalwork matches the era, and whether all components belong together. A famous mark that looks freshly cut into heavily aged metal is a reason for caution, not excitement. Repairs matter too. Welded jaws, replaced adjusters, non-original screws, and mixed parts can reduce both authenticity and value. A jaw that was bent and heated back into place may look acceptable on a wall, but not to a collector paying for originality. Deep corrosion is another problem. Light surface rust can be cleaned conservatively. Rust that has eaten the maker's stamp, changed the jaw profile, or removed metal is permanent loss. A mechanism frozen by surface oxidation may sometimes be recoverable. A mechanism broken or heavily pitted inside is a different story. That is why condition has to be read mechanically, not cosmetically. Ask whether the jaws line up, whether the adjustment works, whether anything is missing, whether cracks are present, and whether someone has welded or reshaped the wrench. Do not assume bright equals better. An old wrench, polished like chrome, can be less desirable than one with honest patina and readable marks. And never discard a wrench just because the mark seems gone. Use side lighting. Run a finger over the shaft. Sometimes a few surviving letters under the rust are enough to identify a manufacturer or patent family. This is also why a maker's mark and patent are the two strongest starting points. A marked tool generally brings more interest than an anonymous equivalent, and a traceable patent can transform a strange shape into a documented invention. But neither one alone guarantees value. A common marked wrench can still be worth $50. A rare unmarked implement shape can still deserve research. The market is selective. Values vary dramatically with maker, patent, type, rarity, size, originality, and condition. The numbers in this video reflect real sale and auction territory, but they are not guarantees. The same broad category can contain a $10 wrench and a four-figure wrench. Asking price is not sold price. And one extraordinary $15,000 John Deere result does not make every Deere wrench worth $15,000. Before you sell, check completed eBay listings with the sold filter using the exact maker and type. Search something like the maker name plus monkey wrench, patented adjustable, implement wrench, or the patent number. Compare sold examples that actually match your size, marking, and condition. Antique tool price guides can help too, including references such as A Price Guide to Antique Tools. If the wrench appears genuinely rare, especially a branded implement wrench, unusual patented adjustable, or early Stanley variant, contact a dealer or appraiser who specializes in antique tools before accepting an offer, and photograph everything first. Take both sides of the shaft, the head, jaw profile, adjuster handle, patent stamp, and any unusual seal or medallion. Measure the length, record every visible letter exactly, even if only half the word survives. Those details make online comparisons far more reliable. There's one more practical rule I want you to remember. Do not sell a whole bucket of wrenches by weight until you have checked them one by one. The reason these pieces survive is the same reason they get overlooked. They were working tools. A farmer kept a plow wrench because it fit one machine, and a mechanic kept a snap-on set because it earned its keep. A homeowner kept a monkey wrench because it still turned a nut. Decades later, nobody remembers why one odd wrench was different, so it gets tossed beside 10 ordinary ones. That is where information matters. The rusty surface tells you almost nothing by itself. The shaft, patent, maker, jaw, and mechanism tell the story. Tonight, go to the garage, barn, basement, or inherited toolbox and line up every old wrench you have. Start with the strangest shapes. Check anything stamped Winchester, Craftsman, Keen Cutter, SK Wayne, Stanley, Snap-on, John Deere, International Harvester, Coase, Billings and Spencer, Bemis and Call, Bonnie Williams, or another old maker. Look at every monkey wrench, crescent adjustable, farm wrench, buggy wrench, socket design, alligator wrench, pipe wrench, open end, and box end. Which would you most want to pull from a rusty bucket, an early patented Stanley, a complete old Snap-on set, or a rare John Deere implement wrench? Tell me below. Value hides in plain sight, but with old wrenches, it often hides under one thin layer of rust and one line of lettering nobody bothered to read. And if one wrench looks homemade, oversized, or too awkward to be useful, that is exactly when you slow down. Strange geometry may point to a machine-specific job, forgotten patent, or short-lived design worth researching.